enjoying this wonderful weather, the sun and the warmer temperatures, we're going to get up now and sing some worship songs. Right now that you've never sung before. 1, 2, 3, Jesus is alive.
Jesus is alive.
Good singing. Last song we introduced a couple weeks ago, it's our robot B-I-B-L-E song. B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. Yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. The B-I-B-L-E. Yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. Woo! Good singing today, boys and girls. We have our special guest, Miss Amy, to do our lesson for us in just a few moments. Have a good day.
Hey, chickadees. I'm so glad to see you guys again. And I'm so happy that I get to be teaching you again. This week, we're going to be talking about the book of Esther. And our text truth is that God had a plan for Esther. Esther, New Testament or Old Testament? Esther is in the Old Testament. It's easy to find because if you want to learn about Esther, you have to go to the book of Esther. Pretty easy, right? So Esther is the 17th book in the Old Testament. Should we go and find Esther? So if you looked in your Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicle, 2 Chronicle, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. That's right. So, I can kind of hear you guys laughing like something's weird, maybe on my head. I have a crown on today. Who usually wears a crown that is a girl? That would be a queen. So, Esther was a queen in the Old Testament. Today we're going to learn about the first two chapters of Esther, which talks about who she is and how she became queen. And later we're going to find out that she actually is going to save her people. God's people. So let's read about the first 2 chapters in the book of Esther. So King Ahasuerus, I think that's how you say it, he gave a party for all his officials and helpers. Now, when the king calls for a party, it's very important that all people come. He called for Queen Vashti to join the celebration, but she refused. She said, "No, I'm not coming." Now, the king was very upset about that, and she was sent away and forbidden to be in the palace anymore. Later, after the king's anger was gone, his servants, he asked, "What should I do about this?" And his servants suggested that they should choose a new queen. So they called for all the girls that are not married to come before the king. And Esther, who also was called Hadassah, was called to be presented before the king. She was a beautiful Jewish girl. Now, Esther was cared for by her older cousin Mordecai because she didn't have a mother or father, for they had died. Mordecai instructed Esther not to tell anyone she was Jewish. The king saw that Esther was beautiful, and he loved her more than any of the other women and made her queen. One day, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, and he heard that 2 guards were planning to kill the king. He told the news to his cousin, Queen Esther, who told the king. So Mordecai saved the king's life, and it wasn't for Esther that chose to be queen, the king would have never known that there was a plot against him. So Mordecai and Queen Esther saved the king. Now let's think about this. What do we know about Esther? Well, we know she was a Jewish girl, part of God's people. We know that she didn't have a mom or dad, and the person that took care of her was her cousin named Mordecai. We also know she was beautiful. So God had a plan for her. Let's read our text truth again. God had a plan for Esther. She was an ordinary Jewish girl. She had no parents. Her cousin Mordecai took care of her. She was not destined for royalty or anything, but God had her destined for royalty. So she had no idea she would become queen. That was part of God's plan, though. And later, as we'll find out next week, she will save all of her people, which are God's people. So we don't know what our future holds either, but we do know that God has a plan for each and every one of us. So would you like to make a crown? All we need is a paper plate and scissors. So what we're going to do, fold your paper plate in half. And we're going to start at the bottom. With your scissors, I want you to find the middle. So we're going to go in the middle, and we're going to make a cut, but not all the way. We're going to stop before we hit the end. That's going to leave us our rim of the crown. So we got one cut. Now we're going to start in the middle again, but this time we're going to go diagonal. You could see it made a triangle. Now we're going to keep going on that same spot. Make another triangle. Now we're going to go to our other side and do the same thing. Now, if you want little spikies, you can make multiple triangles. You could give that a shot, make them a little smaller. So I made all my cuts, and I'm going to open it. And we're going to take them and open them up. So I'm going to pull one up and bend it. And this is making our crown. Dropped it. So we just keep folding our triangles up. And you end up having a crown. Now, you could see my lovely daughter Abigail painted this crown for me. She did a great job. So my tip is if you would like to paint it, keep it all flat first, then paint it, and then you can pull it up to make it your crown. So we can all have crowns to remember that we never know what God's plan is for us. We just have to listen and obey, and He will show us what we need to know, and He will do what He plans to do. Our memory verse today is from Proverbs, which is also in the Old Testament. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. It is 2 verses, so it's a little longer, but I know you guys can do it. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." All right, I'm going to read that again. You ready? Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. So trust in the Lord with all your heart. We understand that, right? We always trust that the Lord knows things. Do not lean on your own understanding. What do you think that means? Do not lean on your own understanding. What I think that means is that don't trust what you think is right, because God might have a different plan. So even if you say, "No, I'm not going to do that because that's not what I want," that means I'm leaning on my own understanding. So we don't lean on what we think is right. We wait and listen to God for what He thinks is right. So in all ways acknowledge Him. So in everything we do, all our decisions, we ask God what is the right decision. And usually He answers us, and He will make straight your paths. So think about if you were walking in circles. You wouldn't get very far, would you? So what it's saying is that if you acknowledge Him and listen to God, He will make a straight path, meaning He will take us to where we need to go. So for the end of our session today, I want to remind you that God had a plan for Esther, and He has a plan for us. So trusting God with all our hearts. I miss you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you for real. I want to give you all big hugs. Until next week, I'll see you guys later. Love you.